So what's next for you? You've checked silver off the box. What's your next project? Because you mostly do hard metal.
I'm a blacksmith.
You're a blacksmith, so steel, iron, that kind of thing.
That's actually my next one I'm doing once I get my 4th burner in.
What are you doing?
Melting steel.
What are you going to cast?
Don't know yet.
You don't know yet.
I'm probably going to make a couple ingots so I can just start making my own steel. And
okay.
That way I can get closer to an actual period steel, not this is kind of close and I'm buying it and I'm going to cut it out of a sheet and make my own bar. No,
You're actually going to get the mix. You're going to get the iron and the...
I got powdered iron right there.
Okay.
I got 2 damn boxes of it that are scrap iron.
Now, what are the actual composition of steel?
I mean, it's mainly iron ferrite or iron, and like modern day, you'll have a lot of different cobalts and nickels and all this other stuff. Period steel is mainly just iron and carbon.
Okay,
and low amounts of carbon.
So you're carbonizing iron, and that gives you the steel, and then you have to harden it.
Yeah, and the carbon's what allows you to harden it. That's why you'll hear people case hardening, or they'll have crude oil or a heavy dense oil.
This is where I get to talk about how much he and I can geek out on something, because I'm not a blacksmith, but when I was doing my research for the artist that I'm working after in the brass, he did brass and bronze casting. That leads into the reintroduction of sand casting in Europe. Because sand casting was a late development in Europe. It came from Asia. Yep. We were doing mostly rigid casting. Sandstone, wood. You actually carve shapes in the wood and get a good cast out of them.
You get it in one shot.
Not with pewter. You get
pewter. Yeah. But heavier metals, one shot.
So, sand casting requires 2 things. It requires the sand material itself and a binding agent. Now, modern day, you tend to do clay, and that was the majority of what was used in Asia. Clay was about, give or take, 50% of what we see in the early casting in Europe. And the other half, let's just say they got interesting.
There's a couple of them I want to try just changing out one part to another part.
So, he and I are waiting for the silver to melt, and it never does melt. No. So this was a long conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm mentioning to him that, there's an article I found where some guy's able to document they used discarded hops from brewing, which we know brewers. This is not even a stretch to go get those.
Yeah.
Discarded wine, i.e. quasi-vinegar. Something, and it's not just the straight vinegar. There's actually some sort of. It's part of the making byproduct. And then, I kid you not, like it was written. I read this 3 times. Human urine,
there is a wonderful fluid out now called death fluid. Which if you ever read the back of the damn thing, it is distilled urine. Now, it's what you throw in a diesel truck now.
Yeah. For some chemical context, for everyone who is listening to this and not near a computer, understand 95% of urine from any mammal is ammonia. And we know for a fact that several cultures would take urine and would boil it down. And it's concentrated ammonia. It's a cleaning solution. And they were using it as one. And that goes back to the Scandinavian raiders, the Vikings.
Oh, it goes back farther than that.
Well, I mean, I could document it.
Yeah, we could easily document it. Yeah. And it was also used as a healing agent for cleaning wounds.
Yes. They boiled it down to a paste. So there is good chemistry involved here. Now, what in the hell ammonia is going to do in a bonding agent environment, that's a little beyond my skill set. But so dev fluid is made of what, cow urine or something?
They don't specify. There's a big chance it could be from the waste plant.
Do we even... That's a point where it's like, do we even want to know?
I've had my hands all over it before filling up that DEF tanks, so... Any heavy equipment operator, anyone who's operated semis, it is sticky. It's clear and it's sticky.
So the point is this is the conversation these are the conversations that Marcus and I have way too often when we are outside of adult supervision. When it's
where's the supervision?
when he and I are not at an event and not
being responsible.
Not being responsible. We are talking about stuff like this.
Especially when my former Don Orlando's not around or my cadet's not around. So hell, hey, we'll have people hit you in the back of the head.
Now, one of the ways where this conversation actually has kind of come about the other way is recently, matter of fact, it was right after coronation, was when I decided that I had kind of a juncture where a bunch of things I was working on wrapped up and a bunch of other things that I was kind of a couple of projects I was hoping to tackle wound up not materializing, and I suddenly was at a point where it's like, wow, it's time for me to do the kind of like the biannual reinvestment. What are my next projects? And I realized, you know what? I have always wanted to do sword fighting, like actual rapier fighting. I've wanted to do that for ages now. Even when I fought heavy, I was interested in learning rapier. I just never had the opportunity. This is the one I pulled aside at Populous. I think it was 2 weeks later, and I was like, Marcus, can you teach me the basics? Do you think I could get into rapier combat? And I didn't think you blinked. You're like, yeah.
Oh, we have already gone over the basics when we did the Agrippa class.
Yep.
Your basic one-on-ones, and here's how it works within the SCA.
But he was part of that doorstep for me. He was part of, he was one of the people I sanity checked my idea on. And also, saying I got to give credit where credit's due. The other end of that one, he was the one who told me not to fight last week when I showed up limping. And I was in gear. I was ready to pull on my mask and gloves and just go out and limp. And he's like, Ivo, don't. And I'm really glad I didn't, because as sore as I was the next day, I know I would have been a whole lot more sore. But if for any of you who have ever been in an SCA martial environment, it is a very short list of friends where you have that type of relationship where you can both encourage each other, geek out about something, encourage someone to go into a totally different field, and then tell them, you know what, maybe now's not the best time to put your armor on. Those are conflicting objectives, and the fact that we have that type of relationship, I think, speaks really well for our common values in the SCA.
Well, and I've been having to push real hard because I got a student and a cadet that look after me, and a whole bunch of rapier family. I will fight broken.
Yes, you will.
I have fought multiple tournaments with a cracked rib, broken finger, broken toe. You name it, I've fought through it pretty much. Most of my victories, I've won broken.
What was broken for the Princess's Champion, Princess's Blade?
I had this rib cracked and this one.
How did you crack a rib?
I was working concrete construction at a factory.
Say no more. Okay, that's fair.
Where safety standards were subpar at best.
Now, you're not working there now, are you?
No. I'm working in a much better
place, yeah. Oh, God. You, like you said, 14 years, and you're now up here.
Yeah.
So what's next on your path? I mean, you've checked all the boxes for rapier, and you're still teaching. You're not giving up there.
I'm not giving up.
Are you pursuing? I mean, nominally anyone can say you're probably on the ANS path now. You're doing an art.
I'm showing I'm letting people see me doing the art. I've been doing the art the entire time. I'm gonna monkey around for a little bit. There's a couple of laurels I want to talk to about the actual path, and one of them I've actually, her and I have been ships in the night on having this conversation for over a year. We've made the mention. Both of us have been busy. Both of us have had SCA jobs and just hadn't had the chance to stop and talk.
Now you want to pin them down.
We have actually, at LPT, we sat down and pinned a date on the calendar at this event in a pretty close to time setup that we're going to sit down and we're actually going to have our conversation that we've been trying to have.
Now, for my viewers, understand that there is no one way. First of all, you don't have to pick a path.
No.
There's no requirement of that. We both know numerous players who've been playing for years successfully, who have awards, who couldn't tell you they're on a path.
Yep.
They couldn't tell you what path they're on, even if you asked them. It is possible to just show up and be a good person and have fun. Yeah. But for those of us, and Marcus and I are taking radically different approaches on this. Like, I kind of, in some respects, I kind of stumbled into the arts and science. Interesting point. Anyone who knew me up until 2020 would have known me as a herald. Full stop. Like, everyone in Onsteor, the whole of the kingdom, knew me as a herald. Local heraldry, regional heraldry. I was teaching heraldry at Kingdom. I was the deputy site herald for Gulf Wars for 2 years. I was the lead site herald for 3 years. Gulf Wars is 3/4 of a mile by 1.25 miles. And I was heading up the team that heralded the whole site. So heraldry was my identity. I think about a year ago now, maybe 10 months, we are setting up for a demo, and we're done setting up. And I was setting up my woodworking there. And someone else had said something that got my gears turning, and I looked at him and I go, Marcus, I got a question. If you had to say one thing I was identified with, what would you say it is? He turns around, doesn't even bat an eyelash, and he goes, oh, arts and sciences with your woodworking, which just about threw me for a loop because I'm not used to being identified with my woodworking. I'm used to be identified as herald, and then Seamus said the same thing.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I think 3/4 of the people there said my woodwork, said arts and sciences of some flavor. That and also the medallions I was making.
Yeah.
Because that was really when I started kicked off making medallions.
And a couple of years before, about a year before that, we kicked off that bronze one. But
yeah. So I didn't set out to go and become an artisan. I got into medallion making, honestly, in pursuit of heraldry because I wanted to make something to thank the heralds for all of their work. You're never going to see me setting out to pursue arts and sciences competitively. Like, yes, I did compete in arts and sciences, that's one thing, but you're never going to see me going, what do I have to do to be a laurel? Who do I have to talk to? Marcus is setting down a time and a date and a place with a laurel to have the discussion of what do I need to do to go down this path? Do I even want to become...
There's the main part. Do I even want to go down this path?
I am never going to ask, or I have never asked that question. He is asking that question. Does that make him right and me wrong, or the other way around? No. These are two different and equally valid ways of approaching this subject. Someone told me at one point that between 1/3 and half of all of the laurels are not students when they're announced, or something like that.
That does not surprise me none.
Yeah. Now, to give you some contrast, I can't remember the last time a knight was made who wasn't a red belt.
Right. You won't see Don.
When was the last time a mod was made who wasn't a student?
That would be Floki and Perrin with the last two.
Perrin was a student. He wasn't a white scarf.
He didn't have.
He didn't have a red
official
mantle?
tie. He didn't wear a mantle.
Okay.
No, neither one of them wore a mantle. Neither one of them wore a scarf. Those two, those are also the exceptions of the rule.
Most of the mods
and white scarves.
Masters of Defense, by the way, for my viewers. Most of the mods were students, and most of them on Steora, all before Perrin, were white scarves.
We've got more than
enough. We got more than enough. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm looking forward to getting a chance to go out and do some other videos with other friends of mine in their native environments. But I really appreciate Marcus for letting me come over. We've spent a lot of time in the shop, so I'm really enjoying the opportunity to hang out here, and I get a chance to show you guys some of the place. And until I see you all next time, until then, see you at the next event. Goodbye, and God bless. If there are two things I've learned that drive videos these days, it's controversy and engagement. Now, I am never going to fly the controversy flag on a regular basis. It's not what I'm here for. It's not the content I want to make, and I really don't think it helps any of us. But let's do engagement. If you like this video, please go down in the comments and leave a comment. Make sure to share the video. And last but not least, easiest of all, make sure to like the video. That helps drive the algorithm. It helps get the video views and helps promote this material. Thank you very much.